All right, good people. Welcome to the Speaking for Profit podcast, where we talk about everything in regards to money, monetizing your message, and impacting the world. I am extremely excited about today's conversation. We're going to get into a talk about the power of networking and really how to communicate and to change lives when you meet people, because we know that the powerhouse to building any brand and building any business is relationships. And our guest today is an expert and a queen at doing it, and has really built a platform that they call the social experience. And the experience is so powerful, but y'all, it's so fruitful, and I can't wait to bring them on. But before we get into the interview, if you're listening now, just put hashtag live in the comments. If you're listening in the near and dear future, put hashtag replay. And you all know that I always want to start off these conversations with wins. So I actually want to share a personal win with y'all, a personal update. Many of you see me post this on social media probably in the last couple of months, but my win is that I'm officially a full-time entrepreneur. I quit my job in January, which was a great choice. That's what I'll say. And what I will say is that what business gives you and what profit gives you is the power of choice. I made a decision to take a break from working, and what I'll call that decision is a sabbatical. And I want to talk to you all a little bit about this notion that if you're not a full-time entrepreneur, you're not a real entrepreneur. That's not true. I was a real entrepreneur before I quit my job. I was putting in the hours, I was meeting with clients, but it began to not be sustainable for me, my growth in my business. So I really had to make a choice. And that will happen to you if you continue to build your business and build it well. So I'm celebrating leaving that job. I'm really excited to have an opportunity to build on some skills. It's a sabbatical for me. So I'm taking a deep dive into sales. I'm taking a deep dive into branding. And I'm actually taking a deep dive into cybersecurity, which if I do go back to the workplace, that's something that I hope to do. So before we get into the call, I see that there's some folks who are here saying blessings. All right, Ladivia, thank you so much for being here live. We appreciate you. And I just want to give you two pro tips. If you are someone who's listening, whether you're watching us on YouTube, and if you are watching on YouTube, go on and like and subscribe, or if you're listening to us on the podcast, two tips on how to prepare to leave your job, if that's something that you want to do in the near and dear future. The first tip that I'll give you is to make sure you got some money saved, right? And the reason I say that is not because you don't have an amazing business, because I'm sure you do if you're planning on leaving your job, but the savings allows you to move in a way that is fruitful and abundant instead of in scarcity. Often, what will happen to us when we don't have enough money in the bank is we might end up leaving our job and then going back to a job that's even less qualified for us because we're so stressed out. So make sure that you got some money in the bank, and that could be literal money, that could be family money. Maybe your partner has an amazing job, something to ease a little bit of that stress, because it is a shift in the way that money is going to be coming into your business. And the second tip that I'll give you is really to step into gratitude for your job. So when I left my day job, and shout outs to all my colleagues who might be listening or watching this, I intentionally gave gifts to all of my colleagues that I would be leaving. I gave them special messages. I really gave them love because I want them to know that I appreciate them being a part of my process. So we never want to leave a door closed with resentment. So make sure that you leave it in a positive way, just like you would want any space to be left, right? So thank y'all for listening to my rant a little bit about this and celebrating me. I really appreciate it. I put a post up on Facebook, and so many of you gave me love. Some of you even gave me some tips and were like, Evolve, are you sure you're ready for this? And I want y'all to know that this was planned, it was strategic, and I've had so much gratitude. What made leaving my job so much easier was my network. And what I've been doing probably the last 3 years of my business is really, really, really building my network. And what I mean by that is joining masterminds, joining coaching programs, going to conferences, having conversations with you folks who are here watching right now about how we can become better communicators and ultimately get financially free. And along that journey, I've had the opportunity to meet our guest for today, Rikketta Franklin, and have conversations about the power of networking and how we can create networking experiences that allow people to grow, that allow people to communicate across difference, and really allow us to change our mindset around the power of networking. I don't know about y'all, but I've been to some networking events where I'm the fly on the wall. I'm scared to talk with people. I'm awkward. So we're going to get into the conversation. And I'm super excited about this because I know if you're listening or watching this and you're interested in monetizing your message, you need to learn how to network and you need to learn how to put on a networking event. And Rikketta is the person that's going to be able to guide you through that journey. So I'm going to do enough. I've done enough bragging. I'm going to bring Rikketta to the stage and get into this conversation about the power of using your voice and networking with your community. Welcome to the space, Rikketta.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm good. I hope that was a good intro. I hope you felt good about it.
I felt real hype. I was like, oh, put me in the game, coach.
That makes me happy because that's what I try to do. I really want you to feel excited to be here. I want you to feel at home because this is your home. This is your space as well. So do me a favor, just tell our audience a little bit about you, who you are, maybe your pronouns, and what brings you joy today.
Okay, my name is Rikketta Franklin. My pronouns are she, her. And what's bringing me joy today is that I hit 100 rides today at Cycle Bar. And I don't know if anyone knows about Cycle Bar, but it's a huge milestone. Like they have 100 and 200 and 300 rides, but once you hit 100, you get to sign your name on the board. You become a part of the 100 Ride Club and like you just get celebrated all day long and there's a build up to 100. So I made it even though I had to stop a few times, whether it was work related or personal, but I kept going and I made it to 100 rides. Let me say something. I've been telling everybody who will listen. So thank you for listening to me, for like hyping myself up because I made it. I did it.
Yes, and you did this right in a space that's more of a group experience, right? So I feel like you're a person who thrives in groups, and that's what I love about you. You really empower what community can do to change folks, and you got 100 rides. I mean, that is a big deal. Kudos to you. For people who are interested in cycling, tell us a little bit about how to prepare ourselves for this journey to 100 rides.
It's you take it one ride at a time. That's the only way to
Mhm.
prepare, is to take it one ride at a time and to understand that your best looks different every day. And the most important thing is that you just keep showing up and that you just keep riding. You just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like, I mean, cycling is so much like entrepreneurship, right? You gotta one client at a time, one post at a time, one conversation at a time, really taking your breath with it. So let's talk a little bit about this concept of the social experience. But before we get into that, is the social experience and networking the same thing? Is it something different? Can you explain that a little bit for me? Like, what do you think about it? Like, is it pretty much the same thing with a fancy name, or is it different in a way?
It's very different. I know I use the term networking because it's an umbrella term and people get the idea or the concept of what is about to happen. But the social experience really has two key elements. Like I come through and I curate the vibe and the mood. And then also I host and facilitate the experience. So I know you mentioned before, sometimes in networking, you're just the fly on the wall, right? Maybe you talk, maybe you don't, right? But with the social experience, I come through with these really powerful conversation prompts that reinforces whatever's going on within the conference space or the theme or the values of the organization that I work with. So it challenges us to go just below the surface a little more. And then as a host and facilitator, I help guide and direct these intentional conversations. So if you are that wallflower, Evolve, I might tell Evolve, hey, I want you to go find someone that you shared a conference session with earlier, but you didn't get the opportunity to have a conversation. And let's talk to them about what's bringing you joy today. So that extra
Mm,
hand, that extra guidance is really makes people comfortable enough to venture outside of their comfort zone so that they can make these connections. And then also Coach E everything. So when they go to a networking event, people might just beeline to Coach E, right? But with the social experience, we do multiple rounds, and there is the opportunity for Coach E to talk to everyone or to talk to many people and not just have their time monopolized with like folks coming one after the other with these index cards they may have made with some things that they want to talk to you about. This is a space where people can
Mm.
really ditch that elevator pitch and connect on a human level. And then if we connect on a human level, then it becomes a lot more natural for us to communicate the things that we do or the things that we want to do moving forward. So it's an experience of itself, but it also ensures that engagement and that you really do connect with and speak to other folks.
I love that. And what I really appreciate about you, Rakita, is like you really are thinking about the whole experience. Like almost see you as like a fly on the wall. Like you're looking at the wallflower, you're looking at the person who might be more popular in the space. And honestly, if you are known, you're probably burnt out by the time you get to a social space. Like I know a lot of people who go to conferences and if they present, they'll present, but they will not engage in the networking space because they don't want to be burnt out from people coming up to them and having that. So it also adds that extra layer of protection. What are some of the things that you see people doing at networking events that are like a no-no, right? Like, why are you doing that? Why? Uh, nope, red flag. What should we not do at a social experience?
So at the social experience, I don't like to talk about what not to do. I know with a lot of like networking atmospheres, people come into it wondering what it is that they can get out of this networking experience. With this networking event, the social experience really asks, what can you contribute to this space?
Okay,
So,
hold on, Rakita. For some reason, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Can you still hear me? I can't hear you. Let me see what's happening. Hold on, y'all. I don't mean to cut you off, but I gotta be able to hear you to engage in the call. Let me see if something's going on with my self. Let's see. Producer, cut this part out. Let me see if I can hear you now. Say something now.
Something now. Can Are you able to hear
What's
me?
happening?
Oh.
Okay. Let me see. Let me try this. Okay, so my audio's working.
Is this
All
better?
right, try again, Rakita. Try to say something again.
Mm. Are you able to hear me now? Is this
I
better?
can't hear you. If you're watching and you can hear Rakita, put the word love into the comments. We're trying to figure this out.
Is this working? Is this better?
Yep, I can hear you now. I don't know what happened, but that was great. Let's
It
do it.
must be
Yes.
my mic. I had to unplug my mic, so hopefully the
Okay.
sound is
Okay,
good.
no worries, no worries. Okay, so we were talking about the challenges, the red flags of networking. Let's get back into it. And y'all be with us. Y'all are live. We will cut this out the podcast, but y'all are live. Oh, someone said love. They can hear you. Okay, good, good. Okay, let's go. What's the challenges? What should we not do? Because I'm the one, should I not wear all red? Because I'm with I'm with the woot woot. Should I, is it a wardrobe thing? Is it the way I'm talking to people? Tell me what your thoughts are.
What not to do? Number one thing, and I have to remember this myself. Do not congregate with folks that you already know. I know you got your favorite conference friends, or you may be friends with the organizer, but do not congregate around the folks that you know. The purpose of networking is really to connect with some different folks and to create some new experiences for yourself. So that's a no no. You can't stay in your group of friends. Um, I create this really wonderful and loving atmosphere. So please don't just stay on the wall as a wallflower. I know a large group of folks can be really intimidating, but with the conversation prompts and the directives and in the multiple rounds, it really is a space where you can rotate in and have some different conversations, and you're not stuck talking to folks. You don't have to figure out how to get out of this conversation or who to talk to next. You leave that all to me. So come off that wall and
I
join the
feel like you
conversation.
calling me out right now, though. I feel like you're talking directly to me, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I'm
When
okay.
when the pastors preach, like, if I'm speaking to you, just say ouch, okay? If I'm stepping on these toes.
Ouch! Ouch!
And the last thing not to do, don't keep this experience to yourself. There are so many people who find networking intimidating, but what I've learned from the social experience, the most, um, even the more quiet people still find a lot of value, and they're able to make those connections in this space. So tell a friend to tell a friend about the experience with the social experience, because it really is worth sharing, because networking is really powerful, and I would hate for folks to not meet the people that they're meant to meet just because they haven't had a positive networking experience. The social experience really changes a lot of that.
Thank you. What's really powerful about, I think, about network that I didn't consider before becoming an entrepreneur, you know how they say that concept of your network is your net worth? But I was taking it as, in the beginning when I first got started in business, that if I'm around, people with a higher net worth, they'll give me money or they'll like give me access to money. But really what I've learned, Rakita, I don't know if you feel this way with your experiences, is it puts me at a higher vibration of the way that I think. Right. So if I'm able to be around people who are millionaires and billionaires, there's certain things that they're thinking about that I didn't think about before. For instance, yesterday I had a call with my CPA and we had to talk about tax strategy because we've doubled our income in the last 2 years. Praise God. I'm thankful for that. But being around other people who doubled their income, I had things to think about in regards to how do we strategically move our money around in a way that not only allows us to make more money, but to live life more easily. And that's what I see wealth as now. Before I seen wealth as like cash and I could buy something fly. And now I see it more as a path to freedom, to be able to rest when I want to be able to spend time with my family when I want to be able to hang out with my dad and not have a boss calling me and stressing me out. So for you, since you're the vessel of this social experience, what type of network have you been able to build from that? And are you hoping to give to your audience?
So, what I've really gained from the social experience, I love it because even when I come into the space, I've had the relationship with whomever's running the conference or whoever's just in charge of this large scale meeting. But through the experience, I really have the opportunity to meet so many different kinds of people. And like you said, it just gives you different perspective and outlook, and the benefit of having that connection, the benefit of these warmer relationships. And this is a word of mouth type of business. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but I really do love like the connection and the energy from the people. So the way I've really benefited is really folks like having this experience, doing something totally different, gaining something and giving something to a space that they had not anticipated, and then really going to tell someone else about it. That it really is. I love that the social experience is really making our our circles smaller. Like our degrees of separation become smaller through this process. I know with the last social experience I did, everyone within the space, the conference space, had the opportunity to be in conversation with every person within the conference space. How powerful is that? When we all have the opportunity to understand the passions and the joy of the person next to us, man, it just makes it so much more human, so much more warm, and so much more inviting. It's really just the power of love. Because by the time we all leave the
Mm.
social experience, we are connected through this experience. We're bonded through being in this space with one another, and that is something that you don't find every day.
Yeah. And I can't even imagine, like, I've been to so many events, being able to connect with everyone. It seems so powerful. And then also being able to feel that I'm going to get that love the next time I come. Right. So I also think for folks who are organizing events and thinking about bringing Rikketta in to help you, what makes events really powerful is when people come back to them. What we sometimes have as entrepreneur is, and I have this, y'all. That's why I say we. It ain't just you. Is this need to be at the top right now? Like you'll see someone putting on a conference or an event, and you'll be like, "Dang, they got 5,000 people, 10,000 people," and you put on an event, and maybe 30 of your folks show up. But if they have this social experience where they're able to feel loved and valued and network in a way that they haven't before, not only are they going to come back next year, but they probably going to invite their homies, their family, their friends. And that's how you build that. Right. I went to Invest Fest, and this is an event that's put on by the folks at Earn Your Leisure for the first time this year, but they've been doing it like I think maybe 3 or 4 years now. And I
Wow.
remember them talking about it. It was hella small when they first started. This year, I don't even know how many people they had. It was too many for me. It was like, y'all know we out of COVID, but for me, we not. Like, I still want masks. I still don't want y'all touching me. Like, I was germaphobe before, so I'm still in it for me, like in a
Yeah,
way.
real.
So it was way too many people. But what I seen was the growth. And then I was like, the reason I'm here today is because someone else told me they had a good time last year. Because I've been seeing them promote it. I just never went. It took that one person that I knew that was cool, that I felt like would enjoy experience like me, for me to go. So if anything, this allows you to really build retention when it comes to events, which is so important. Imagine having an event and you don't have to invite people to come every year. Like you just know automatically, we gonna do this conference and 200 people gonna show up. We know that, but we going for 6 to 8, right? But we know 200. We got our base. We already know where it's at. So let's shift a little bit, Rikketta, because you're not just the social experience queen. I mean, you are, but I think what you've really started to master, and what I've seen you do since we've been working together, is master the art of branding. So can you talk to me a little bit about what does it look like to brand a social experience or a networking event, and what are some tips maybe you can get for people who are putting on these type of events on how do they get people to bring themselves to the event and actually be comfortable? And I know that that starts with the way that we brand and message about it.
Yeah, I have been learning so much about branding and messaging. One is consistency. There's nothing more important than consistency, even in the small things. Like whenever I talk about the social experience or I like post about it, I like to use the same colors, the same fonts, and to keep going. And to be honest, I found it difficult when I did the first social experience in December. It was open to the public, and we were like 7 days out, and only 3 people had purchased tickets.
Let's
Even with
let's get
this,
into the realness of being an entrepreneur, right? Let's get into the real.
yeah, let's get to it. I wanted to cancel. I did not want to continue. I was like, am I going to break even? Even with the consistency of the marketing and things. And I said, you know what? The 2 out of the 3 people who just bought tickets are coming from out of town. You know what? This is going to happen. We will make this happen. And the show goes on, and I am so fortunate. Day of, I had 30 people. But I reached out to my friends and family and said, hey, would you be willing to sponsor a ticket for an entrepreneur to come to the social experience? It's pay what you can, whatever you have, and sponsor a ticket for attendees to come. And that's what happened. Friends and family sponsored tickets for others, and they came through. And it was at that moment that I was so grateful that my community came out for me. And just being and speaking for profit and just learning the powerful nature of gratitude, that really helped propel me. Like, not worrying about the folks who said they were going to come or who shared it on social media but did not purchase tickets. Like, not worrying about that, but just being so grateful that my community showed up for me in such a large and mighty way. And it was at that time that I realized I didn't want to do open to the public ticketed events anymore. So the social experience operates primarily like within conference spaces, staff retreats. I did a team bonding session with Visit Lex in Lexington a week or so ago. So going back to what I learned in higher education, I said the social experience is great, but if I really wanted to have the maximum potential, I need to go into already existing audiences. And I'm
Mm.
working on how I do that, with social media to build my audience and to collaborate in ways that are fruitful for all parties involved. But for me, the conference space has been really fun, and making those relationships it's been a little easier for me than doing these open to the public events and like crossing my fingers and hoping that I break even. The benefit of
Mm.
coming into a conference space is I have this baseline for folks too. So when I create these conversation prompts and things, I'm not kind of just pulling things out of thin air. I'm reinforcing the conference theme. I'm reinforcing themes from the sessions that folks have attended prior and that they will attend later. So that has been the most beneficial for me.
I'm super proud of you and that pivot that you made. How did it
Yeah,
feel to make that pivot for your business and for your brand?
it happened very organically. Before the social experience, I I was working on my offer, and Speaking for Profit gave me a lot of direction so that I can really bring it down to a way that I'm doing things that I do well, that I really am an expert in, not offering. I think you mentioned like this diner size menu of options, but keeping it cute and boutique. And after I did my initial social experience in December, which was more like a showcase, just kind of show folks what it was, because it was so new and different. I needed to show people, like, the social media wasn't enough, and since I had only done one prior, I needed folks to come through and experience this, for lack of a better term. Um, but after December, like, the social experience very quickly became the Beyonce to my Destiny's Child. Okay, so
Yes.
it just took off like wildfire. Like, one person attended, they wanted me for their conference. I did their conference. Another person attended, they wanted me to do several things. So I let the people speak, and this is what they wanted. This is that new, and it's really accomplishing a lot of things that we've tried to do before, but in some different, ways. I'm coming through new, energetic, and I'm also hungry for the relationships and the connections as well. And I think that helps.
Yeah. I think what's great that you spoke about, Rikketta, is that you have patience for your dream. And I think that that's what's so special, not only about you, but about the folks that we have at S4P. People are patient with letting it manifest. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to
Yeah.
make mistakes. You might have to pivot. You might have to throw it all out. I'm glad you
Yeah.
didn't throw it all out, but sometimes people need to do that. So, what are tips that you would give people who are interested in joining our community? Like, how do they need to show up and be prepared to be in that space?
Oh my goodness. I wish I had someone telling me this when I first began speaking for profit. Are you okay, Evolve? I just want to check on you. Are you good over
I'm
there?
good. I have like a tickle in my throat, but I'm good.
Okay, okay, because this is nothing if you ain't okay, all right?
I'm good. I'm good. That's why I keep drinking my water. I'm just trying to clear it out and not put it over your audio. But we good.
Okay. I wish someone had told me this, because it took me a while to warm up to the Speaking for Profit community. And it was nothing on the community. It was just um real G's move in silence like lasagna. Like, I was used to taking some of these L's quietly because I have a background as a singer. So you work hard, you get all those mistakes out, And then, when folks see the finished product, they've seen it after you've had that blood, sweat, and tears and tears and tears. So I would say for anyone that wants to join the Speaking for Profit community, come open, like come very vulnerable. Whatever it is that you have, just share it. This community is here to help along the way. Um, as an entrepreneur, like I want to just get everything together and have it really polished and then display it. And that just
Yeah, Rikketta is a perfectionist. A perfectionist. And that's why I think, I don't mean to cut you off, but that's why I think you're a perfect asset to the community, because there are other people who are like that as well. And I think being able to see you be vulnerable makes them feel more comfortable doing that. So I want to thank you.
yeah, the vulnerability piece took me a while to get to, but it's necessary. As entrepreneurs, you can't have everything together and then launch. Like you gotta have different eyes on it at different steps. I think it makes the process go a lot faster. Like I don't have any coworkers like welcome to the business. Like this is the office. This is it. And you need that camaraderie. You need those eyes. You need those suggestions. You need that praise. So yeah, just be open because everyone really is there to help. And there really are like no dumb questions. Like I don't everyone has a different baseline when they come into entrepreneurship. We are not the same. We come at different levels. It's not bad. It's not, it's just what it is. You just got to be willing to say, I don't know. Well, like, how do you do this? How do you do a proposal? Well, I know how to do it, but what email do I accompany with it with the proposal? like,
Exactly. Right.
like,
Some of the things that we're not taught in school, right? Like we're not most of the folks in S4P college educated or went to community college or at least went to high school, right? Because I'm not a person who's extra like you got to go to college to work with me, but they don't teach us the skills on how to market ourselves. I
no,
always say that education gives us a skill set to be able to thrive in the field, but you're not in the field most of the time. You're trying to get into the field.
yeah.
So the marketing, the branding, the messaging, the proposal writing, that's something that has not been given to us. And I'm so thankful because I got this stuff boots on the ground from social justice people like in my 20s, and I didn't even realize I had it until I was like in front of someone and had to present it. And then I went back to some documents I found, Rikketta, and I was like, "Oh, this is how you do that." But the reason we created the space is so people like you could have a shortcut. Cuz imagine, like what you've been able to do with your brand in the last 6 months could take somebody 6 years if they don't have the right people around them. Number 1, to motivate them, but number 2, to give them shortcuts so that they don't have to do all the work. So, you've given me so many shortcuts when it comes to networking. I've used a lot of the skills that I've learned from you to get over those nerves. So, as we pivot to talk a little bit more about you as a master speaker and facilitator, I know when you got into S for P, you were like, I know I want to hold space for people. I remember you saying that in particular, but you weren't necessarily trying to do a social experience. Like you were trying to be a speaker. But what I find unique about your story is now you're not just a speaker, you're a facilitator of space, which to me is more of a bigger bag because you have to do a lot more labor, but also it's more of a transformative approach. So, how did S for P, whether it was the community, the coursework, the coaching, support you in getting that clarity? Because I think that that's the thing that so many business owners need. They come to me and they're like, I mean, I could talk about anything. I could juggle, I can play a piano, right? They don't know how to get the clarity. So, how did the system support you with that? Because even though you didn't make money, which is great, and even though you done had all these social experiences, what I see from you today compared to the first day is clarity and vision that is so freaking powerful.
Definitely the coursework like really challenged me. Coming from a full-time gig, I went into entrepreneurship as an extension of the things I had already done. Um, the community, especially you, especially my check-ins with BX. BX was really instrumental in this social experience and how I thought about it. Um, but BX challenged me to do whatever it was that I wanted to do, not to continue what it was that I had done for other folks in the past. And that was it. Like my coach helped me with the vision every step of the way because I had the execution part coming from higher education. I know how to execute events. I know that the music has to be welcoming for everyone and the food has to be this way and just the space has to have this lighting and these round tables and just to make it more comfortable. But my coach is what inspired me to do it. And then with our meetings, like with our prompts, like what is it that you do? Who is it that you serve? Like we are always in Speaking for Profit talking about what is it that we do. And I hated when I couldn't communicate what it is that I did because I knew that it meant that I needed to do some internal work and some reflection and really think about what it was that I wanted to do versus what could I do because I can do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yes. And I remember when you got that clarity. I remember being on a call with you and you been able to say what the social experience was. And I remember even you and I, we had a call like in this last month where you were like, yo, I know exactly what this thing is. I'm working with a branding team. I'm ready to roll this out. And the power that it is for us as coaches to see our clients have that clarity, that's something that's $1,000,000. Like a lot of people look at it as the money, but the clarity gives you the opportunity to be able to open the doors for the abundance that you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? Like now when someone asks you what you do, not only do you know who you need on your team, you know who you need to communicate with to get it done. And you already had a lot of that, but this foundation is going to take you so far. So I've been asking a lot of people this. I actually asked Chat GBT this morning because I think it's just a cool question. But what's your $1,000,000 plan? Like, what's your plan for the next like 3 to 5 years with the social experience to make sure that it gets you financially free? Take us up behind the scenes to the strategy. And then I want to also share with people how they can, keep up with you. But let's look future. 5 years from now, Rikketta is balling out. Me and you kicking it somewhere drinking a pina colada because we always gonna be family and stuff. You probably gonna
Yeah.
be one of the course coaches or teachers in S4P. We're just thinking towards the future. But when it comes to that financial freedom, what strategy are you planning on using for the social experience?
So I think I'm understanding you correctly. So I'll give you
What's your mission? That's what I'll say. Because we always talk about mission. What's the mission?
So the mission is to continue to challenge people to seek connection through commonality. Um, that's the mission. And since I've really solidified my target audience, is to remain authentic in my outreach. Is to remain authentic to the mission and to the message. And as I go into the plan, I've been thinking lately, like, what is it that I would need in a facilitator of a social experience? Which is the reason why the business is not like Rikketta.com, right? Like, I don't, the social experience is an experience that doesn't need me physically there for it to happen, but doesn't need the curriculum. Yeah, I'm working on curricula. Like, does it need the intentionality? Definitely. I'm working on some conversation cards because sis needs to start making some passive income. So I cannot wait for the conversation cards to come. So just thinking through those products for that financial freedom piece, because I need to find a way where I don't always need to be present. There can be some conflicts with the schedule. Sis is out here booked and busy. So just thinking through a way that I can get help in a very fruitful and organic way. So thinking through what that looks like for me for the expansion. But I love that the social experience is very scalable. Like I do team experiences with like 15 or 20 people, and then also a conference experience with hundreds of folks and whatever in between. So the scale of that is where the financial strategy is coming in.
Yes, you better scale that, baby. And you have so much intentionality, Rikketta. I hope folks heard this pro tip in these gems that were just dropped. When you're starting a business, brand the business if you don't want to work in it forever. Why y'all think it's called Speaking for Profit? In a few
Yeah.
years, you're gonna see Rikketta leading these podcasts or somebody else, right? Like it could be someone else in this seat as long as we have a curriculum and a path for them to go down. So
Yeah.
you're thinking about this ahead of the game, and that's what's so promising about your business. So if I'm an event organizer, I want to bring you in. You already know we already got plans, me and you. But if I am an event organizer, I'm at a college, university, or maybe I'm just putting on my first conference, how do I get in contact with you? Which is the first question. But once I get in contact with you, just give me a little bit of the roadmap of what we'll do to make sure that we're able to curate my own personal social experience.
Yes. Okay. So do you want me to drop the links in? Because you can find
Yeah.
me sanetconsulting.com. Let me
If you're able
drop.
to drop them in, sometimes it's weird for me in the comments. If not, what we'll do is we'll make sure to put them in the show notes, and I'll also put them in the description of this as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I don't it's not giving me a spot to like actually post, but I'll send it to you. And you can send it to the people. So
Yeah.
sanetconsulting.com. Evolve's gonna drop the link and take you directly to um my Calendly page. Um Look, you said the people how to meet me, and then oh yeah, the roadmap, the process. I also drop my LinkedIn link as well. So we always start with the discovery call because I do believe that it is the one thing that's even more powerful about the experience. It really starts before the experience starts. And it starts with, and I know Evolve is going to celebrate this, it starts with an aligned yes. I want this to be a group that I want to work with. Like, I want to be excited about the mission, the theme, the audience, all that you got going on. Like, I only work with groups where I'm a fan. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is going to be a great time. So it really starts with that discovery call to make sure you're aligned. But after that audience analysis, I'm finding ways to curate the space. Like, I want to know what spaces you have available. Like, I want to know, is there natural lighting? Do we have round tables? Is it open? Can we find a space with higher ceilings, right? Like, I want to get all of the information that I need to make this space a safe haven for change. And that's the first part. We start off as collaborators. Like, I'm helping collaborate this space. Um, and after that, I go to the lab. I create prompts that are applicable for the group. I create conversation prompts that I know that this group will enjoy and be able to connect with. Because the only reason why we gravitate toward those we know is because we already had that connection. We already know that we have these things in common. So I create questions that really highlight the commonality between all of those folks in the room because we really are more alike than we are different. But that's the process. I find ways and ask whatever questions I need to help curate that space and that vibe. And then I go back to the lab and I make sure that this is going to be uh, a networking session, a collaboration connection section that no one's going to forget. So I just want to make sure that everybody get a chance to speak to each other because after that, we family. I'm like, hey, cousins.
Yes. And you also curate a playlist, right? You got the playlist going because I know that was something we talked about. So can you tell us a little bit about the musical side of it?
Yes, every social experience has a playlist. Uh, I was kind of doing this before, but after my conversation with Evolve in December, it really changed how I thought about affirming spaces. And if I need an affirming space for myself on a day to day basis, this conference also needs an affirming space. So the music is always hand selected, hand picked. I have a bachelor's degree in vocal music. So I say that to say that there are certain pitches and tones and things that emote different emotions, that emote different experiences and feelings. So I want to make sure that I'm using intervals and sounds that are also affirming for the space as well. And it really just guides the flow. You come in listening to music, you get in an upbeat mood and kind of break down some defenses, and then I use the songs to time the conversation so that they naturally time in and out, so that it's not disruptive for this environment that's going on, because it's loud and it's lively and people don't want to stop talking. That's perfect. You can go find them later. Now it's time for you to meet somebody else.
Mm, I love it. I love it, y'all. I didn't know you had this degree in vocal music. We learn something new every day.
Vocal
Rakita,
music and philosophy.
yeah. That's wild. That's wild. So no wonder you got a good vocal thought process around even the acts of sound and how they impact the space. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about that. Well, Rakita, I want to thank you for one coming to the Speaking for Profit podcast and sharing your story. I want to thank you for being such a fierce community member in Speaking for Profit. I really appreciate when members show up as their authentic selves, and I think you have a powerhouse in that. But you help so many people in our community to advance themselves. So thank you for doing that. And I want you to just thank you for the social experience. Like, I know that this is going to be a space where people are going to meet people that's going to change their life, that's going to help them impact the world and ultimately get free, which is the most promising thing. So, anything else you want to share with the audience before we close it down? Because I know they just want to continue to hear from you because you're so brilliant.
I think all I have to close it down is whether you're at the social experience or other areas in your life, you just gotta be yourself. And in
Mm.
this time and day, it can be difficult to know what that is, because it's just so much going on. But just be yourself. Find some affirmations to affirm yourself. Whether it's I used Canva and created some affirmations that I found. I have a affirmation deck. It's like a fill in the blank affirmation deck. So I've been writing these affirmations in notebooks. So when there are certain things that come up, I go to certain affirmations for myself. But it's just the authenticity piece. Like, no one can do you like you do you, boo.
Mm. We're gonna have to put that. We're gonna have to put that quote in the show notes because we need that on a t-shirt. It's true, y'all. No one can do you like you, and this is why I say, if you have a message that you know you want to share with the world and you're not doing it, you're doing a lack of due diligence for yourself. Your authenticity is your powerhouse. It's your superpower, and if you can do it without being fearful, like, we're able to have this call right here, and I was a little nervous in the beginning. I'm always am, but I get comfortable. We have a superpower, y'all, to be able to sit in front of a microphone and speak and not get nervous. Literally 85% of folks in the world are afraid to do it. Why not get paid for it? Right? So we want to support you. We, as in me, Rikketta, the team, the community, and creating amazing offers that impact the world, that change the world, getting paid to do it, and ultimately getting financially free so that you can live your time on this planet as a vessel of love and joy, not as a person who is working and burning themselves out. So if that's you and you're interested, you already know how to tap in. Just go on over to speakingforprofit.com, or you can send us a message, send us a DM. And if you are just a little bit more on the phone tip, let me see if I can bring this up. I wasn't even gonna do this, but I know some people like it. Text the word speak to 323-405-9492. That's where we do free trainings. That's where you can tap into more conversations with great folks like Rikketta and other members that we have in the community who are doing amazing things. And that's also the space where you can just learn free game on how to get paid to speak, consult, or even facilitate space, as Rikketta is doing right now with the social experience. So tap in, get the knowledge, get the information, and don't be afraid to use your superpower to change your world, not just to change other people's world. So we gonna head out because we got a bag to pick up. I don't know about you, Rikketta, but ain't you got some bags to go pick up? I get some money. You got some
I
money?
mean, I gotta get some money, but look, it's like 70 degrees today. I'm pulling my grill out today, okay? That's what
Yes.
in front of my grill.
Exactly. So whether we got money or we got time to spend with our family, which is the biggest currency, we got places to go and bills to pay. So we're going to head out, but we appreciate y'all. I'm so thankful for this time and for this interview. And like I always say, until the next time, peace and love, family.